So it's about 4 o'clock. Well, we actually can't do that today. And why not? Because the power's out. Went out, I don't know, about 5 minutes ago. I heard something below. It's kind of like a and then it was just out. It's hard to know whether that was like something actually blowing or if it was just, like the electricity coming out kind of thing, right? Either way would have sounded about the same. I know that at least the whole building is out. I don't know if the street's out. As you can see, it's actually quite beautiful out. Looks like a nice day. It's a shame I had nothing to do out there because I might want to spend it outside. But I mean, if I'm not smoking, why would I go outside, right? um, well, no, it's just, I mean, there's so many things to do. Why would I go sit outside? Waste my time outside. No, I mean that. I mean, I can sit inside I can sit inside and read, I can record something, I can do what I'm doing, which is maybe not the most, well, in the end it will be productive. But I mean, like, what would I do when I'm outside? Sit and stare at the ceiling, ceiling being the sky. That would be a waste of time. Sorry, hippies, I guess, is the right description for you. Your perspective on life is very boring to me. But anyways, like I say, it is. Part of me would kind of like to go. Well, I mean, I kind of wanted to go grocery shopping today. I'll probably do that tomorrow. Well, it was really largely dependent on how long I could stay awake for yesterday and how much I could get done. I really, really wanted to get that done yesterday, but I did fall asleep. Again, it was a short day, 18 hours. Like, what are these short days, Jess? But such is the way things are right now. You can see me in the mirror if I wanted to see, wanted to walk over there, so it's kind of meaningless at the moment. I do have battery power on my laptop, but I mean, this is the power's out. That wasn't just like a flicker. Something's down. Maybe it might resolve whatever issue I'm dealing with with the fields, or have something to do with that, or whatever they fix might get me to the right endpoint. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and see how much of what I got left I can do. I should be able to do some of it anyways, but I mean, a lot of it is checking dates, right? So I need internet access, which means I need power. I can't even eat, really. So I want to just have a raw banana, which I don't. So, yeah, I don't. I suppose I could go grocery shopping early, but I don't want to. So, I guess I'm just gonna hope it comes back on soon. It is January. Thankfully, it's nice out, but we don't want the heat off for too long in January. That's especially in a basement. It's good that at least it happened this weekend when it's above zero and will be above zero for a while, rather than one of these other weekends where it's, well, I mean, we haven't had really winter this year, so I don't have much to complain about, but it wouldn't be that outrageous for it to be, minus 30 this time of year, instead of, I think it's about 8 degrees out right now. Like I say, I wish I had something, I wish I had a reason to go outside because it is nice out. Anyways, back to work, I guess. Hope it comes back on. So it's about 5 and it seems to have come back on. That kind of strikes me as maybe even something that was like planned downing. They just forgot to tell us, or maybe even there's something in my mailbox. Who knows? But well, It actually seems a little better, but it's hard to say. Who knows? I'm just glad the heat's back on, really. But now I need to do all the little things like change all the, reset the microwave clocks, and try to see if I got to reinstall this machine or not. I just reinstalled it the other day. It'll be a bitch if I do, and etc. And it seems as though I got a little bit lucky with this. Did not have to reinstall, so I'll take it. I'm not sure exactly how much longer I have left to do with this. I think it's 4 pages, and I think it's pretty clear what it is I need to do. So, like I say, it's about 5 now, so I'm thinking maybe a couple of hours, and then I can finally, get on to the next thing, kind of thing. So it's 8 o'clock, and I'm done parsing, which, remember, doesn't mean I'm done. The next thing I'll have to do is I'll have to take everything that I put into a temp file and put it in a major one. That shouldn't take so long. It's just, it's 300 pages, which is a lot less than I thought it would be. It might turn out to be a bit more when I set the margins back, because I set the margins to 0, so it's 300 pages with no margins. You're probably looking at something like more like 400 or 500 pages with margins, but it's still about half of what I thought it would be. So that indicates that there was a lot of overlap. Anyways, what that means is that what I'll have to do is I'll have to take that and then just layer it into the main file, which probably won't. I couldn't see it taking so long, right? And then I'll probably, I will do the music Facebook page, and I'll move that over, which is in a different kind of Word document and has been sitting there forever. That was just all 2012 stuff, so there's tons of stuff to move over still, before I can actually get to wiping down my actual Facebook page. So that's still got lots of stuff to do, but it's on hold for a bit. I gotta get something to eat. I'm late on my meal today. Not as late as yesterday though, so that's actually catching up, which is good. I didn't eat yesterday until after midnight. Then again, I slept in. Was I? No, I woke up today, but at the same time I woke up yesterday. Okay. I thought I had rewound. I might have slightly. Yeah. No, it's just whenever I rewind like that, I think I was up a little after noon. Well, it was a little after 1 today, and I was up closer to 3 yesterday. So, whenever I do that, I end up with short days. Because I see, it's a combination thing, right? I didn't need to sleep much because I wasn't awake a full day yesterday. What that means is that because I didn't sleep much, then I'm gonna. Right. So what I'm really doing is I'm putting the sleep off. Right. I think I just have a thing about skipping days. I want to skip the day. As silly as it is. If I could live 2 days at a time, all the time, I think that would be much preferable, right? So, I'm talking about 30-hour days. I want 50-hour days. That's what I really want. Move to a different planet. I think that probably would do it. So, in fact, maybe if we could start designing a planet for me. Get on it, sort of thing. I want it to be about 50-hour days. That would be perfect. Well, maybe 50 is a bit much. Let's say 35. 35-hour days, so that I can actually, wake up with the sun and go to bed with the sun coming down. Although, who knows, maybe if you just extend the length of the day, I'll just push myself that much harder, and I'll still be cycling around all over the place. Who knows? Only way to find out is for you to build me this planet. We have a sun. All you need to do is get a bunch of rocks, shoot it out in orbit. It doesn't have to be that big. Preferably not too far from the sun, because I don't, if it could be, if winter means 10 degrees and summer means, 30, 35 degrees, that's good. So, I know it's going to be more about the atmosphere than it is about the distance from the sun, right? I mean, you want to be far enough that you don't get scorched, but not too close. Sorry. You definitely want to be far enough that you don't get scorched, but not too far that there's no chance of atmospheric warming. Although, I mean, if you have tons and tons and tons of carbon dioxide, could you be like past Pluto and still be habitable? Like I think maybe we're putting too much, focus on distance, and we should be focusing more on, atmospheric content. Like Venus, if you put Venus where Pluto is, how warm would it be? I know I'm the mathematician. I'm supposed to figure that out, right? I'm busy archiving. I'll do math later. Actually, I will do math later. Um, Once I get to about 120, then I'll have lots of time for math. Or at least that's how things are shaping up, anyways. Yeah. So I think that if I get something to eat, then every minute counts, right? I mean, the more time I waste doing this, the less time I'll have for math in my twilight years. How do I get on these rants? I don't know. I'm stopping to get something to eat. I'm going to do a grocery list. I probably will get back to this by the end of the night, but I've got to get all kinds of things planned because I'm doing all of those things that need to be done tomorrow. And I am again hoping that it's good for a good 10, 15, 25 days. Well, it won't be that long. If I can get a good grocery run in, though, it could be a good 2 weeks. So we'll see tomorrow. Or actually today. Yeah. Calendar day tomorrow, but actual day today, the second half of the day. I don't see how this day ends without me flipping over. So we'll see. That's looking pretty tragic, isn't it? Got a couple eggs left in the back there. Some bananas. There actually are not any tomatoes in the tomato drawer, and a little bit of cheese and salami, and then my condiment side, and that's it. So yeah, that is life at the end of the month. After I've taken out the things I need for the day, meaning that I need a big run. So this is just demonstrating that I am not doing a frivolous grocery run. The nature of my grocery run is actually quite necessary. Of course, worst case scenario is that I do still have some spaghetti. When is this good till again? I've forgotten. May. Okay. No, sorry, July. Yeah. Well, I'll see. I bought all the spaghetti. Because I was concerned that I might run out of food at one point. If I got thrown off disability or whatever, it was just useful to have food. I'm pretty sure I would find a way to pay the rent. It's after that it gets tricky, right? So one way to do it is, okay, got some extra money, let's put it away in the form of food to convert the cash into edibles, because as we know, we cannot eat money. Actually, that's not true. We could. Paper is well, it depends on. I suppose it depends on the type of money, doesn't it? No, a chunk of nickel is not going to do you much good. But paper, um, fiber, right? Well, I mean, you eat a tree. I think you probably want to at least take pills, take your vitamins on top of eating your money. Um, Again, how did I get here? Where am I? I'm so lost right now. Okay, yeah, the spaghetti. In case it doesn't matter now because I've got 5 years of disability, so um, I will not run out of food. I am quite certain. Although, sometime around 2020, I will no doubt want to repeat this again and stack my cupboards full of spaghetti. Um, I actually need to eat all that soup up in some way or another as well. Somehow. Oh, actually, that reminds me. I actually do have. I still have that broccoli in here, so I'll do something with that. It's gonna be a while, but I'm thinking probably at the beginning of March is when I'll start doing that because I want to get. I'm behind on stuff because I've been putting it off. So I like to have doubles and backups. So the non-smoking. February will be my first month where I can actually save money on smoking because I did smoke at the beginning of January, and you've got the January December collusion. It all blurs together and gets confused because of the way that they do it. So it's February is like this is, you know, I'm about to eat, and after I'm not eating, I will pay my internet bill. And in fact, at that point, I will be entering a new era of my life, where when I do my budget for this month, it's going to be very different in terms of what it is that I'm able to put aside. But I mean, for this month, the focus is on that. Is on because I've been shoestringing the last couple of months, and I don't really like that. I like to have a little, not money in the bank isn't. I mean, it's useless when you think about it. It's just a waste. Just let it sit there. Do something with it. But I mean, a couple of $100 is useful. Once you start getting more than 5, then you're just wasting it. Go spend it. Stop wasting it in the bank. But you want it somewhere around that, and like it's, as I mentioned before, I think I ended the month with $8 in the bank. That's a little too close to call. Because I'm not smoking anymore, I can budget this better. There's just a handful of expenses that I need to deal with at the beginning of February, so that next month, like for example, I need to actually send a check out for my headphones that have been sitting in the other room doing nothing for 3 weeks. I also need to pay for my my phone. Well, you saw where my phone is, but I do have a voicemail box, and it costs me $1 a month. But they have a minimum of $30, so I can't just give them $1 on a month. I got to pay for 2 years in advance, right? So it's coming up on 2 years, and I got to do that, etc. So there's those kinds of things, right? But I mean, it's going to be at the end of this month that things will turn over. So this is going to be another kind of like, I was not paying attention at all to when that went out, like remotely. Like, I don't know if I lost a minute or 2 minutes or 10 minutes or what. That completely snuck up on me. I was talking about spaghetti at some point, and how I need to transfer, or how, when. Actually, you know what? I should probably check to see before I say anything else. I will come back to this. and we'll have this talk. We'll have this talk in the mirror later. And again, and again, and again. Wait, I need to get the actual act in. The action shot. So it turns out that we're going to have this talk off camera on the couch over here. I hope you're comfortable. It's a nice couch. I inherited this couch. I'm not sure if it's real leather or not, but it gets cold in the basement down here, which is somewhat annoying. But besides that, it's a nice little couch. I'll get a blanket down here eventually. So we're off camera, and I'm going to explain why we're off camera by making a promise on camera, vocally, to stop ripping my face apart. It's a problem that's developed over the last couple of years, and I need to be sober about it. One thing at a time. I stopped smoking, and now I need to get a handle on this. I need to acknowledge that the issue is probably not that I have more ingrowns than I used to. The issue is probably that I've become obsessed with pulling the hair off of my face before it cracks the skin. And creating ingrowns out of hairs that would have probably otherwise come out fine, creating long-term messes, and I just need to knock it off. If I think about how it is that I came to this point, I think that the issue is probably that I stopped exfoliating. It wasn't like a conscious decision to stop exfoliating. This would have been 4 or 5 years ago. And I've been picking at my face for 2 years, anyways. Well, a little over a year, anyways. What happened was I just ran out of the product. I was broke, and it was a while before I had any cash, and it just never worked its way back into my routine. It needs to come back. Then I'm, wiping off all the dead skin, and I'm not giving anything a chance to hold, or to take hold. That's really what the root of the problem probably is. But I need to acknowledge that this is the kind of thing that gets me. It's a repetitive behavior. I tend to get trapped. One might even say that I get obsessed with this sort of compulsion. It's repeatedly demonstrable in a wide variety of contexts, and I think that that's really the root of the problem. May be that I stopped exfoliating, but the reason I can't get out of it is because it's repetitive. And I tend to get stuck in those kinds of loops like that. That's a flaw in my personality that I'm aware of, and I need to take steps to prevent it. So, I need to make that pledge to myself. I'm making it on camera so that it's real. And and I'm gonna knock it off. Um, I could maybe even be on camera tomorrow. It's not as bad as it was before. It's just I'm self-conscious about it, and this it's this brutal cycle, right? Because I mean, you do it because you're self-conscious, and then the result makes you self-conscious, and then you're self-conscious about being self-conscious. You almost want to abandon all consciousness as a conscious reaction. I just can't take anything seriously, can I? You're right, I can't. But this pledge is being consciously made on camera so that it's real. Um, so I need to knock that off and stop rationalizing things, stop making excuses, and etc. etc. Um, so that's number one. Number two, um, the reason I wanted to have this talk on camera. This is the beginning of a new phase. I have my check-in for February now. So, I'm in a new reality where I'm not spending money on cigarettes anymore. Now, it's going to take a month or two to catch up. One, because I want to put aside a little bit of cash. Two, because I'm a little bit behind on groceries. So, as you saw, so I'm going to have to make a long list, and I may even end up a little bit lacking and wait until the beginning of March before I really double down on it. Um, but this is a change in life. Um, Jumping over that, I, I I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm now in my post-smoking reality. I'm going to be making a post-smoking budget, and it's the first, kind of feeling of something being different. It might not really be different this month, just because there's that catch-up kind of phase, and like I said, there's some things I have to tend to, um, but it is different. Um, the way I'm kind of approaching finances is going to be different. Weather dependent, I plan on hitting a few shows in February. Um, the first one I want to hit's on the 11th, but I'll double check that. There was a few at the end. I mean, if we end up getting minus 30 weather, then I'm not going out in it, obviously. But I don't think it's going to be so bad. Just gotta hope that we don't get the cold snap on the day I want to go, kind of thing. As mild as those cold snaps may be. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to point out here. Is just that this is over that hump. I mean, it's been 3 weeks. As you can hear, my voice is still not so good. But the period where I'm bedridden and essentially dealing with with an illness and getting over it is over. I should be able to get some headphones. Or get the jacks replaced, the cord replaced. I need to put the money down for my voicemail account. and these sorts of things, and as well as get some exfoliator tomorrow, along with my other things. But those are kinds of one-off expenses, and I should be back to being able to put a little bit of money aside. Not a lot. I do want to spend it when it comes in, but just enough so that I'm not, worried about it. And so that so that I have a couple of extra dollars if a month gets busy. The other thing I might be a little bit worried about is that the exchange rate is really bad right now. That might act as a disincentive for me to cross the border. Just looking at the shows, um, there's not really anything I have to see until I think March. So I may be a little bit more selective because I'm losing money on the exchange quite a bit now. Um, I think it's under 70 cents now. So it's a big difference. Um, when you add that on top of the border costs, a $5 show um, becomes a $30 show, and there's a big difference. A $5 show is anything that looks relatively interesting is worth $5 to check out, but a $30 show is something that you actually really want to see, right? And conversely, a $20 show, well, then you're looking at $60 or $70 um, with all the other expenses, and it gets well. I mean, a $20 show is a show in a bar, right? A $70 show is a show in an auditorium, so it's a big difference. If the exchange rate is, you add $5 or even $10 on, it's one thing, but if you're nearly doubling it, that's another thing altogether. But I'm glad we had this talk, um, and I'm going to get cracking on uh, the next phase of existence. I'm just thinking whether I'm at the midpoint or the uh, third point. It's probably um, more than a third. But it very well may be a little less than half. And for all my talk about, the rest of it being gravy, it's going to be something else if I find that drive and purpose at the age of 45, isn't it? Halfway done means you've got less left than you've already gone through. It's humbling. It really is. Enough to make me want to go buy a pack of now. No, I'm done. See, it just happened in reverse. The fridge turned on and it turned my light off. As mentioned, I need the light on for the bugs, so that's gonna have to sit like that, whether it's buzzing or not. Now for the ultimate bizarre. I flicked the switch, and the light that was buzzing switched. Up until this point, it was always that one that was buzzing and that one that was fine. And now it's swapped. So, the landlord can say what he wants, but the electricity down here is obviously, oh, look at that. Electricity is obviously not quite right, huh? Okay. Just a note regarding the interference. But I mean, it was never like that before, ever. So, I was gonna sit like that. Okay. I suspect that he wired something wrong when he put the furnace in upstairs. It's my honest guess, but I'm gonna have a hard time convincing or getting him to admit that. Anyways, see, look at that. And wouldn't you know that as soon as I turn the camera off, it fixed itself. So, that's twice I've seen a causal relationship with the fridge. I suppose there's a few things I can try. I think one of the major things I should try, and that's something that I'll do. Well, it'll be a few weeks still, but when I do clean out in here, I'll pull that right out, and see if there's any, like, what is that fridge sitting on top of? I know that it's probably not completely dry floor. I mean, it's tile, but if I can ensure that it's not wet back there consistently, would it do this? Well, I think that a fridge can create radio signals. That's what my mind keeps coming back to, is this idea of there being radio signals back there coming out of there. Not like, I'm not going to tune to it and, dude, your radio buzzes like a fridge. It speaks in math. It's almost like a detuned radio, which is kind of what I'm saying. but radio frequency waves is what I mean. Fridges will do that. The bastards, especially old ones like that. So, it's a possibility, anyways. And of course, I could therefore be picking up outside radio signals outside and fridge signals inside. You think the walls would buzz it, would dim it a little bit, or at least enough to. I'm talking about a pair of headphones here in a basement, surrounded by stuff. It shouldn't be that bad, right? So the fridge was the one thing I couldn't unplug, right? Unplug everything else except you can't unplug the fridge, your food will go rotten, right? So it's kind of the one thing that hasn't been really tested well. And like I say, it will do that, and it is clearly messing with stuff, at least a little bit. So the lights seem to be fine in between, disturbances in the field. Spock, there is a disturbance in the basement field. Do kids even associate Star Trek with like the real Star Trek? Do they associate with the fake Picard bullshit? They probably don't even think, freaking kids. You're gonna be watching this, you're gonna be like, Star Trek, I didn't hear anything about making anything so. What the hell? You just sound like a bad actor. How did Star Trek get associated with bad acting? What the hell is going on? Yeah, some kind of disturbance down here. It's fridge related. Yeah. So it's after 8, and I've been waiting all morning to try to figure out whether or not the rain that they forecast today was going to come through here early or not. I think that it did. Meaning it looks like it's probably going to clear up this afternoon. And if I was to go out, everything would be okay. But when I checked the radar, it's inconclusive. It looks like there might be something developing off of I guess that's Lake Michigan. I always want to call it Lake Illinois because it's like Chicago, really, right? But it's Lake Michigan. See, that's the one that's in the States. It's completely in the States, so we always forget that one, right? We know that we've got the Superior at the top there, and then the Huron, and we've got the Ontario, of course, and then the Erie. But Canadians, we tend to forget about the other one. There are 4 Great Lakes, and there's the other one. If there's 5 Great Lakes, it's like Winnipeg is the 5th one, right? Just because it's not ours, right? It's completely foreign. There's a system coming up off of Lake Michigan that's not showing up, or that's showing up ambiguously on the radar, which where I am, I always have to check before I make decisions like this, because the forecast is often wrong, but you can usually figure out what's going on by checking the radar. The reason is that I live in South Detroit, right? Windsor, Ontario is not, we don't have any independent weather anything, we don't have any independent anything at all. So when they do the weather forecasts, they do the weather forecast for Detroit, and we get the Detroit forecast. The problem is that the Detroit is it's not like downtown Detroit, it's like the Detroit airport, which is a good ways away, right? So the temperatures are usually pretty close, but precipitation, and actually if you look at the radar, you'll see what I mean. They were calling for rain this afternoon, and clear skies this morning, like early. Well, they were calling for rain in the morning, but they weren't expecting it to. They weren't forecasting it to start until around 10. And if you look at the map, that would be true in the northern parts of Detroit. Here, because the system goes through us first, because we're the south of Detroit, we actually got the rain first, right? So, and this is constant. And I mean, I'm I'm checking a Canadian weather station, which is just, you know, I'm used to, dealing with, everything being Toronto-centric, but it's something else for, a Canadian institution to be just like, well, whatever, we'll just use Detroit data. Like I said, the temperatures are usually pretty close, but you really need to check the radar. And you know what? I suppose that's probably true in any large metropolitan area. What is probably more the change is less that I'm in South Detroit and more that I'm moving down from Ottawa. Ottawa is growing, but it's still basically a large town, right? So, and I was right in the middle of it, right? So when I checked the weather, it was pretty much always right, And the flip side of that is, everybody always says the weather's wrong. Well, it's not that the weather's wrong, it's that maybe you're not reading it right, If you're in the outer reaches of New York, then you need to maybe be a little bit, if you're in Connecticut and you're looking at the New York weather forecast, maybe you should be a little bit, cautious about that. But yeah, that's the truth here is that if it looks like it's going to rain, one always needs to check the radar and not the actual forecast. Although I will say it would be nice if the Canadian weather forecasters actually, focus on data in Canada. But hey, who am I? So it seems as though let me be clear. I have decided that I will be doing my errands tomorrow. We might get a nice day, and I might miss it, but it's going to be a little bit cooler tomorrow. But it's the rain is more important to avoid than if it's 9 or 3, it's still nice out, right? So that's the deal. I've spent all morning looking at show listings for February, and I'm gonna have to do a lot of weeding down. It's one of those months where there's I think maybe 2 things that I really want to go to, and a lot of things where it's kind of like, maybe, depending on the weather. If we get the cold snap in the middle of February, it's probably no. But I may actually head to a show tomorrow at Cliff's Bells. It's a jazz show. I'm going to listen a little bit more carefully. It's all percussion, and this is. I was checking out some stuff from the drummer's band, and it was very. If you like fusion, it was very interesting fusion. But you have to like fusion to enjoy fusion, and fusion is not the kind of thing everybody enjoys. Jazz fusion. I don't know. Maybe there's some other term that fusion applies to nowadays. Jazz fusion, as in Billy Cobham, Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, that kind of thing. Which I am a fan of. So, and it was actually like I say, it was quite good. Younger musicians, but they sound like the old guys. They sound like the masters. So, hey. But it's not actually what it is. What it is a percussion showcase. So, I like a good drummer. Sleepy. I like a good drummer, but you can only do so much with, and it's actually it's not one drummer, it's 5 percussionists, right? So, is that exciting? Maybe not. I'm going to listen a little bit more carefully and see. The flip side of that also as well is there's a lot of things that I might enjoy listening to through a pair of headphones that I would never bother going to see live because it's just not what it is. And it always kind of I've never understood why they bother. Like I love Autocra, for example. Would I go see Autocra? Probably not. Because I mean, what do you do? Like it's not the kind of thing that you stand and watch, right? It's the kind of thing that you listen to, in a dark room by yourself, preferably on drugs. I know I'm going to get a snotty email uh, from Sean and Rob there, but I mean it's the truth of it. This is not dance music. I'm sorry, and it's not standing around gaping music either. It's careful listening, and about the only way I would ever consider going to see Oettinger is if it was in like an auditorium, like a theater, like a seated show, which is I doubt they've ever done that. So I mean, and something like this, it might be. This isn't a very old jazz club. It's the same place I saw Jimmy Chamberlain, and the sax guy, was Frank Catalano, a few months ago. So, I wouldn't say it's seated, but I mean it's not a it's not a dance club either or a rock bar. It's like an old fashioned jazz place. Um, so I don't know. Still thinking about it. Like I said, I gotta listen to it. But I mean, it might fall into that category that like this is chill. I enjoyed this. Give me a book, let me sit and read. But to actually go to a concert and watch you do it, I might not get anything out of that. A lot of the other stuff is kind of more in the abstract punk category, which essentially everything I listen to is some kind of abstract punk, but I'm very picky about it. And I'm very open-minded, but very I have high standards when it comes to punk. I know that's maybe it's not a contradiction. In fact, most people that like punk have very high standards relative to what that means. Um, you know, there is a difference between listening to some people that have never played anything before, just smashing sticks against their guitars, and a very developed piece of music that is integrating aspects of whatever noise you want, screaming, smashing, grating, drilling, whatever, right? So, see, the problem is that a lot of people don't realize that. That's what the actual problem is. It's not. It's less that the. I don't want to. What is an amateur punk? It's a redundancy. But it's less that the bad punk, or I don't want to say bad punk. I think that you know what I'm trying to express. It's less that the half-assed punk exists, and more that the filters aren't there to tell them to go back in the garage and jam for a bit longer, kind of thing, right? And those filters used to be there, right? There's some documentaries on Joy Division floating around. They got rejected when they started because they sucked. It was go back and practice, and they did. And when they came back, it was pretty tight. And you'll notice that about Joy Division. Whatever else you think about Joy Division, like it or hate it, it's tight. It's super tight. Because that's what they did. They were told. You guys sound like you don't know what you're doing. Practice. And they did, and they came back, and they sounded fucking tight as hell. And so I mean that's what's missing, is that kick in the ass to do better. Instead, it's just like anything goes. It's just your opinion, man, kind of shit, right? Which is really more of a hippie attitude, right? I'm sorry, it is. Deal with it. Um, you know, there should be a stronger work ethic attached to doing something good. You know, incorporated into the punk concept. There always was before, um, and the fact that that's missing is what the actual problem really actually is. So you you know, and these bars, instead of, like, if I was running one of these bars, I'd be so selective. You know, I'd be like, sorry, you know, and I'd pick the one that's really good, and I'd say play here every night. Um, the fact that that doesn't happen anymore, that it's just like this rotating, um, uh, this band rotation, right? You know, owners don't care. There's no, they don't have that emotional investment into what they're doing anymore. Because I mean, and it's true. They could pull out anything and throw it on stage and it'll sell. And in fact, a lot of the times, you know, if you take a band that's straight out of high school, has, you know, 500 likes on their Facebook page, but it's terrible, you're going to make more money on that than you are off of, you know, some introverts that sound brilliant. Um, you know, probably the best example is like a band like the Smashing Pumpkins could never exist today because they didn't have. I mean, they don't have the social. They didn't have the social skills necessary to build that kind of base up, and there's not a bar owner in the world that's going to take that kind of jump and hold to you and give you shows. They're going to go with the shit that's popular on Facebook because people have friends and they're going to try to get the friends in to have a party rather than try to push something of actual musical worth and value, right? Um, and that's what the actual, you know, one has to hope that with the slow but probably final switch over from you know, punk and rock and folk forms to electronic forms, that those people will go over to the disco side. The truth is that's where they came from, and that's really where they ought to be. You know, let math rock, really, because that's what's left, math rock. Let math rock work into the space that once was, you know, and rebuild that. But they need, you know, promoters need allies. There's a promoter in Windsor. I haven't ever spoken with this person, but I've been to a couple of the shows that this promoter has put on, and every show is at a different venue. They're by far the best shows in Windsor, like by a good country mile, even if most people don't know they exist, or even if most people really look down on it. That do know it exists. You know, it's the loser show, right? By far the best shows from a musical perspective, and that person cannot keep a venue because they're not catering to that mentality, right? To get that kind of breakthrough, which ironically existed before punk and has not existed since punk, would be, I mean, it's what the rock scene, or it's what rock music needs to resuscitate itself as an art form, which it was for a little while. So yeah, so lots of shows, most of them aren't worth going to. It's a question of finding the ones that are, and, you know, maybe burning a little bit of fire underneath some of these owners and saying, listen, you know, I know that you're a business person, you exist to make money, but maybe, you know, putting a little bit more effort into developing a house band that actually has talent might be something that you could do to help in reestablishing the viability of your business model. You would think that maybe, you know, focusing on curating the viability of your business model would be something that you might be interested in. Because if you allow things to happen as they are and have been for far too long, where every bar every night is full of shit, you are destroying that viability. It's what's left is clubs. Unfortunately, see the band is supposed to bring people in, but when you just pull any shit off the street and you're like, look, we got a band, what you end up doing is you end up keeping people out, right? And if you actually look around town, what you'll notice is that a lot of the bars have actually figured that out and are not letting any live music play at all, or only rarely are, because they're realizing that this this pop punk band that sounds like 20 years ago, or this this folk band that could have existed at any time in the last 45 years, isn't helping. It's hindering. And that's it's not that the model is dead. It's not that the idea of live music doesn't work. It's that you're not doing it right. You are allowing your business model to collapse. And what you will see is that when you do get these venues that do put a little bit more effort into, if not catering towards quality, at least drilling down a demographic, right? So there's that hardcore bar out in the boonies there. Not in the boonies, it's probably smack dab in the middle of Detroit, but it seems like it's, again, because I'm not used to big cities, it seems like it's way out, right? I mean, like Pontiac is like driving to Montreal. I mean, like what I like where I'm from, the distance from Detroit to Pontiac would be like going to a different city. But hey, I mean, the quality of what they're bringing in may not be high. And I'm sure that just about everybody will agree that this is just some shitty punk band, right? If you even want to call it punk, a lot of it's ideologically metal, even if it's only using a couple of chords, right? But it's a demographic, right? So there's that, and if you want to do that, but I mean, if you're gonna bring in a roots band on Monday and a disco band on Tuesday and and a punk band on Thursday, and they all suck, then that is exactly what you're doing. Is you're ruining the viability of your model because you're not putting enough effort into screening it and making sure that if you want to get a show, you gotta actually be pretty good. And fostering competition, giving bands that don't have an established presence a chance to build one, and allowing people to come into the bar on off nights without paying cover, right? It's all being done completely wrong by people that the established model is it should be what I'm trying to describe, but it is what I'm actually describing, and it's standard. It's how everything works everywhere, and it is going to become unviable if that's not addressed, probably pretty soon. You're seeing these bars. You're seeing established, bars disappear. CBGB's is gone. The Magic Stick in Detroit is gone. It's again, it's not the idea of live music, it's the way that it's being run. And it's the promoter's fault that they're not doing it right. And then, I mean, even, I think, I tried to point, well, actually, it might have not been on the vlog, it might have been in my show review from A Place to Bury Strangers at the beginning of October, where it seemed like for a few fleeting moments, like the Magic Stick was trying to convert its downstairs area into a punk bar and allow the disco upstairs. It's fallen right back into the same indie trash again. And again, this indie trash is gonna, people will bring their friends. They'll be university age. They'll buy beer. They'll make more money in the short term, but in the long run, once that's gone, like once that fad is over, then the venue's dead, because there's no long-term client base. It's lost what it is. In pursuit of short-term profit, it's, again, I'm going to use the same words I used, destroyed the viability of its business model. And every time one of the ones, like it looks like one of them are going to start doing that, they fall back, because they realize that they're not making as much money, and they don't want to invest. They don't want to put the time and effort into it to cultivate, to build a scene or a movement. They just want to cash in quickly and then take off. I've been ranting for 20 minutes. This is going to be a long vlog. In fact, it's probably done. So I'm going to stop. But I've still got all these things to do for today. And it won't be until tomorrow that I actually get out and do my running around.